Welcome, everyone, to episode number 55 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creator Series. Today, I welcomed a producer from Youngstown, Ohio. His name is Jake Clark. He goes by the name JBC Beats. Today, we chopped it up about his journey since he began in 2017. He said he was influenced heavily by Jaden Smith, Kanye West, Tyler, the Creator, among others. We kind of went into how he saw The Life of Pablo roll out for Kanye around 2016, and that kind of inspired him to get creative and kind of begin music right out of high school, which I found was cool because that was kind of similar to me. I started right out of high school as well. I discovered Jake's content through Instagram, just through looking at his profile and everything, and I saw his album wall behind him while he was making beats, and a lot of cool artists on there that I listened to. So I was glad to get him on the show today. Like I said, we were talking about his influences and everything. I also loved the advice he shared on this episode that I found very true about how, you should just really lock in on being able to accumulate small wins every single day, especially as creators. It's like we sometimes get caught up in chasing a huge end goal, and it's like, while we always have that in our mind of some end goal, it's like there really is no end goal. The end goal is the journey. As cliche as that is, it's like the end goal is the journey. And if you can walk away every day saying you learned something new or you help someone out, then that's really what it's all about. And I think that's what I took the most from this episode, is just Jake's understanding of that. And I think that's why he's going to be here for a long time. And I look forward to seeing what he does in the future. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Welcome, everyone, to episode number 55 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creator Series. Today we have a really dope producer. He's currently in Youngstown right now, not too far from where I am. His name is Jake Clark, also known as JBC Beats. How are you, man?
I am good, brother. I'm happy to be here. What you're doing is super cool. Like I said, man, I'm excited. I like chopping it up with other people doing music, so this is cool. I'm very excited.
Yeah, man. And like I said, I remembered, I think it was December or maybe November, I came across your page. I think I was just in Instagram hashtags, and I saw one of your videos, and what caught my attention was your album wall that you had in the background.
Yeah.
I was like, he's got Kanye, he's got Cudi and Tyler, the Creator, and stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is dope. And checked out your page, and I was just like, this is awesome. And I found out you were in Youngstown, which isn't too far away from where I'm at. So I figured, why not get you on here and just kind of hear a bit of your story, because I'm not really familiar with the details. So it's going to be exciting for me. So I'm glad to get you on the show. So basically, to start out, we have every guest give a little bit of background as to, the basics, like how you got into music, how long you've been doing it, kind of just a brief summary for those that might not be familiar with you and your music so far.
Absolutely. So I started making music 2017. I've always been interested, always liked it. But there's two moments that really for me was you know what, man, I have to make music, and there's just nothing I can do about it. And the first was Kanye rolling out The Life of Pablo. For some reason, that Real Friends SoundCloud track that had the No Parties in LA snippet at the end, for some reason that just really spoke to me. And that's when I was like, okay, wait a minute. Music makes me feel a certain way. It makes me do certain things. It's not just pleasant to listen to. Mm-hmm. So that's when I was like, wow, music's really, really awesome. And that's when I kind of got more into music. And then for some reason, don't know why, Jaden Smith, his song Fallen came out, and I saw the music video for it on Twitter. And I didn't, I knew he made music, but didn't really know he was that serious or whatever. So when I saw that video, have you ever watched that video?
I can't remember if I've seen it, and I might have saw it on Revolt a while ago, because that came out on the first album, right?
Yeah, it came out on Sire. Yeah. So when that dropped, I was like, wow, this is the craziest thing ever. Music's so cool. I have to figure out how to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's just what happened to me. And I started, messing around with it, not being super focused, I guess, like I am today. Mm. I would say about 2 years ago, so that would be the end of 2018, 2019, is when I really became serious about it. I was like, okay, I need to post on Instagram. I need to do, I need to really learn how to be really good at this. But those two moments, The Life of Pablo and that Fallen music video by Jaden, those two things for me was wow, music is incredible, and I love it, and I have to figure out how to make it so I can make other people feel the way these two guys made me feel.
Yeah, that's super awesome. So you're saying like tail end of high school is kind of where you started then, kind of.
Yeah.
Right before, yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't. Yeah, I really wasn't. And even then, I was just like had GarageBand on my Mac and would just kind of mess around with it every once in a while. But when I got into school, stopped playing sports, things like that, it was like, okay, I need something that like I want to be great at, and music's that thing, man. Every day I just want to be great at it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because like I think our stories are kind of similar because I was kind of the same way. I didn't start until I was done with high school, and then I was like, well, I got to figure out something now because I'm like I'm not really good at a lot of things. I don't have a lot of other skills, so I'm like I was thinking about doing this music thing. Why not just try it and just see what happens? You know what I mean? So that's kind of cool to hear. So I got to ask then. You said about the Pablo thing, kind of that whole era. Were you at the Cleveland show in 2016 for that or not?
No, dude. No, I really messed up not going to that.
I was there. That was a fun night. That was a fun night, man.
Yeah, I really messed up not going to that. That's one thing I regret not going to. Sore subject. But yeah, I was supposed to go and then it just didn't happen, and after I saw the videos I'm like, dude, what are you thinking? Why are you not there?
It was really incredible. Just like the stage, like how he had the floating stage in the middle and everything, just to see that. And it's funny because I remember I had one of the floor passes for that. So I was down. No, now hear me out, though. I didn't spend the show down there. I went down there beforehand and was looking around stuff. And then I was like, it's kind of cool, but all my friends are up top. So I was like, I'm just going to go up top. So I like spent the time on the floor, and I was like, I wonder if I should have just stayed down there the whole time. Because, like, it would have been crazy. I don't know if I would have been in the middle of a mosh pit or what, but it was cool, like, nonetheless.
It looked crazy. He's so good at creating these worlds around him that are just so unique. And the thing that makes him the most mad about it is he's probably not touring again.
Yeah,
like, let's be real. Is Kanye West going on tour again? I don't think so.
That was kind of the last, like, hurrah, honestly, that we saw him out there doing that too. Because after that was kind of where he transitioned into more like gospel and like Christian music.
Yeah, there was no Ye tour, right? Yeah. There was no tour for for that. Yeah, and you just don't know what he's easily my favorite artist ever. You have absolutely no idea what you're gonna get from him. I have no clue what that man is doing, and no one does.
Yeah, and we don't even know when the next album's coming because we were supposed to get an album last year, and that didn't happen, so interesting.
And that one hurts because I don't know if you saw the 180 Degrees thing that he pushed, that song that had like the one visualizer. I just remember that on Twitter. You got to look. I'm sure you've heard the snippet. 80 Degree Crazy. I'm like, dude, is Kanye West really making that music? Like, it was blown away that guy was doing that.
It's funny, too, because, like, the last few albums that he was going to release got leaked, and everyone was like, this is what we want. And then that's the stuff that's not coming out. And like
exactly. I don't think people understand that when you leak it, it's not coming out.
It's hilarious. I forget who was, like, one of his collaborators. I heard this in an interview. They said that he makes 3 albums every time, and you only get to hear one. So
that's
like,
insane.
Which is, and they're like, when you go into this process and there's like, you're on a Kanye album, they're like, you're on one of the 3 albums. You just have to hope that you're on the one that comes out. Because you could easily be on the one that doesn't come out and no one would ever know you were even on a song.
Right. Like, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'd be like, I don't know if I could handle that. On top of
that makes me think like, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
How many songs like Runaway are out there? Like, are there 2 more of those? Like, what? Like, that blows my mind right now that there's probably so much. Like, Kanye's best song might be on some flash drive in Pusha T's house somewhere.
Yeah, it's crazy, too, because, like, all the stories I've heard about his process, too, just how, like, it's not like a normal person's process. It's just very, like, intense sometimes, and, like, you have to, like, really deal with a lot of things, but I don't know. There would definitely be stories that would come out of if you were ever in a session with him, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very interesting stuff. So I got to ask about, the last year, obviously, during the pandemic and everything. I can imagine you continued creating through all of that. Have you kind of just been, like, in your dorm room creating a lot recently? Have you been in any studios? Like, what has been the process over the past several months or a whole year now for you?
The pandemic was obviously sucked. Obviously there's nothing, I can't really say something good came out of it. But it was, I guess, good for me to block things out and be like, hey, man, music, like kind of like refining that love for it. Because I'm sure as a creative yourself, you kind of battle with a lot of stuff in your head, man. Like, is this worth it? Is this working? You're always, am I making the right content? It's tough. And I think the pandemic allowed me just to make music and really figure out how I want to go about this whole thing. Definitely in my room making everything, man. No studio stuff. I really haven't done much studio stuff in the past, but it's for me, it's been a lot of connecting with other artists that are in the same boat that I am and just trying to get better and, being able to block out these other things. Last summer there wasn't really anything to do, even school, fall, spring, there really wasn't much to do but make music.
Yeah. And it's so awesome, at least for this part, that like we had a lot of technology to kind of continue doing this type of stuff. Like what we're doing right now, like that's a great example. Like we don't even have to be in the same room, and we're having this conversation. You know what I mean? So it's like
great. It's great.
I think it was all about during that time, especially. It was just about utilizing what you have to kind of make the most of your situation. It's like you can't leave the house. Well, what else can we do? Well, we have access to the internet and all these other things and resources, so we can just use them to the best of our advantage. So
totally agree.
Yeah.
And there were like times where like I could have made this song with this person, before all this happened, but it was like, oh, they're far away, it would never work. But now it's like, hey, I had no choice, and it's kind of like, hey, wait a minute, I can actually do a lot with what I have around me. And that was another cool, I guess, realization that I got from this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just glad, like for me personally, I think I learned that lesson of just like being able to hone in more and just focus more, because you didn't have all the other distractions at the time.
Absolutely.
You were able to just sit there and focus on exactly what you need to do. And so now that things are kind of going back to normal, I don't know if you do this, have been doing this as well, but I've kind of like been able to better focus on what I'm doing now, even when things are kind of opening up and you kind of are going and doing your normal routine again. It's like the routine has kind of changed forever in a way. For all of us.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it definitely has. And it's definitely given me the ability to see what's important and what's not important. Seeing what, as stuff opens up, it's, what do you really miss? What do you not miss? What do you actually want to focus on? What's important? And when, some of the things we were doing because the pandemic only allowed us to do those things, I thought that I would take some of the other normal stuff for granted, and I haven't. It's kind of allowed me to, really realize what's important for me.
Absolutely. So you mentioned Jaden, right? You mentioned Kanye. Who else, when you were kind of growing up, or maybe still today, is like someone that made you say, you want to do music, or like that you're still just a huge fan of what they put out?
From the growing up older artist side, my dad loved Bruce Springsteen for some reason. That guy, I think he's crazy. The Beatles are unbelievable. They're so good. They have 1,000 songs and they're all good. And I feel like they were so ahead of their time. And then Hall & Oates. I don't know if you ever listen to Hall & Oates, but they're good.
My one friend is a huge Hall & Oates guy. Huge fan.
Huge. Yeah, no, they're fire. They're so good. Those guys, those are probably the three of like the oldies, older times people that I listen to. For me, I make a lot of different kind of music. I don't make just, one genre. So a guy like Mac Miller is very attractive to me, where he kind of has like a sound, but it's all different. It's all different genres. So that he's been very great to listen to, and a very inspiring person, as well as, Tyler. I would say those two guys that make different music, but they have the same sound. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know why it all sounds the same, but that's something I've really been trying to focus on, is how do I make everything sound like I made it, but it's not the same exact song, same exact beat. And those two, I think, do it better than almost anyone else. So I would say those two combined with Jaden Smith, combined with Kanye, are probably the four biggest, I would say, musical inspirations for sure.
I think I had a conversation with someone on another episode about Tyler specifically about his evolution. How every album has been very different, but it all like relates to people very well and still relates to his fans. Like a lot of people were kind of hesitant, like when Cherry Bomb came out. It was like this is very different. We don't know if people are gonna like this, and like even the last couple albums, it's like he just continues to change and evolve, but it's working for him. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
yeah. So I get exactly
I
what
don't
you're saying
know.
with that. Like you just got to keep like evolving over time. You don't have
Oh
to
yeah.
just completely do a 360. It's just you're continuing to grow as an artist and try new things. So
Right, and Kanye does that. I mean, no two Kanye albums really sound the same except for maybe those first two. But Tyler, for me, he's been able to change and one up his last album. I think every single time he's made a better album. I know a lot of people love Wolf, and I think Wolf's really good. I think Cherry Bomb's better than that, and I think Flower Boy's better than Cherry Bomb, and Igor I think is unbelievable. When that first came out, I was like, wow, how is the guy that made Yonkers singing on pop beats sounds crazy. I think it's unbelievable the growth that he does, and I'll be really interested to see what his next one is.
It'll probably be this year or next year, I would assume, because it's
You would
usually
think.
it's
You would
usually
think.
I think he's been on that every other year like tick for every album, honestly. So could be this year.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else is going to drop this summer because Cole's going to be doing good for a while, and Drake's coming, man. That he's gonna put an album out this summer, and you're not going to want to release within a month or two of that because you're just not going to chart.
Yeah, and then Kendrick is just the biggest mystery of all time. Like who knows what he's
got no clue.
We'll know when that comes out. Like you'll know when it drops. That's all you'll know about that one. So as far as like songs that you've already done, I've seen recently you put out a few tracks with like featured artists and everything. Is there a certain song that you have out there already that was kind of a very memorable moment, like how you created it, like you still remember like the process? Is there anything you'd want to share with a certain song?
So I have a song called "The Voyager." It's with a Midnight Jaguar and my friend Durand, who's from my city as well. Durand was just starting out like this. I think he had one song out when we did this one, but I was just making beats, and a Midnight Jaguar, he used to be in Jaden's label, and we kind of connected. I was just a fan of his, and then we just kind of became friends, and he was really inspirational for me because he was kind of just going out on a whim and trying music like a lot of us do, and he was a big person in making me like go all in on it. And when I was making this, I just sent him the beat. I'm like, hey dude, listen to this beat, this thing's like really cool, and he just sent me back a verse on it. I'm like, oh wow, this is like incredible, I cannot believe you just did that. And I sent it to Durand, who, again, we were just both starting out, both from the same city, no clue what we're doing. We're just making some music every once in a while. And he got on it, and it's still one of my favorite tracks that I've made just because I think the process was so easy. And I didn't even expect it to happen. I was like, oh, I could put this out as an instrumental. I could just post it. I just think it's really cool. And the kid was like, no, dude, this is a song. Like, I'm getting on this right now. And I think that process was so cool. And every song that I've had that's just been random like that has been some of the better work. I think stuff that's been forced doesn't usually work well. If I go, to make this kind of beat or try to get this person on it or this kind of like say, hey, what do you think about this writing style? That stuff doesn't work. But if you're just like, hey, this is great, what do you think? They get super inspired, and then I think that's when the best tracks happen. And I think that The Voyager, I think that song in general made me believe that.
That's the thing too. Like it has to come naturally. You know what I mean? Like you just said, if you try to force stuff, it never works the way you think it's going. And regardless, it's like even when you set out to do anything, like especially musically, it's like even if you have a certain vision, that's not what's going to be the end product anyway. So you might as well just get it out of your mind that it's going to come out a certain way. It's always going to be a little different than how you had it in your mind to begin with. So that's kind of always something we can look to. So I wanted to ask, as far as like putting your own tracks out, like as an artist, like with your name on it, how does that feel? Because I know that when I started, I didn't even think that was an option. Like I didn't even consider that to be a thing for producers. But like, what do you think about producers doing that? Like, is that something that you feel is vital? Because I definitely feel it's been great for me personally to be able to do that, put out beat tapes, put out songs featuring, you know, other artists and things. So how do you feel about that?
I think it's huge. I'm not going to be one of those guys that's like, oh, producers are undervalued, they get pushed to the side, but you know, sometimes they really do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're seeing it now, producers being their own artists. I think that's awesome. I think guys like Kenny Beats and Monte Booker do, you know, a great job at that. I don't know if you've heard the song Ain't Gonna Stop Me by Reggie.
No,
I had no idea who. You need to listen to it. It's unbelievable. But that song, I had no clue who the Reggie guy was, but it was like, hey, Kenny Beats and Monte Booker and Reggie. I'm like, oh, I know Kenny Beats and Monte Booker are crazy. Listen to this song, I'm like, wow, this is incredible. I think it's my favorite song that's come out this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think producers now can be their own artists. I think it's so cool, and I think it's something that every producer should do, man. Drop a beat tape, put a beat tape out, man. I have, you know, there's so many lo-fi playlists. There's so much content you can do, and I think it's just great. You know, it's great what, you know, DistroKid and things like that. You know, these distribution sites that everyone has access to, even producers.
Mm-hmm.
I think taking control of your own, being your own artist, taking control of your own destiny is huge. Not just relying on selling beats, you know, not just relying on, you know, sending this beat out to an artist. You know, being your own artist is great. I've seen a lot of times, you know, if I'm sending, you know, beats out to artists, stuff like that, it just doesn't fit like what their next album, what their branding is trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm like, hey, I have this great beat, I think you'd sound good on it, maybe for something I'd release, they're going to be more apt to use it, and you're going to make more songs that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of been just a little tactic I've used to maybe get a few songs like, hey, I'm going to try to get another artist on this. What do you think about this? And it might not be what their next album's going to be. It might not be what their vision is, where they think they're going with the world they're creating. But if it's my own world, then they're going to be, you know, more apt to get on it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like for me, just from doing that myself, I think I found that it's just cool to be able to like piece things together and kind of lead the direction of the song. Because like you said, if you send a beat to an artist, you might not even hear that song until it's completely done anyway. Like they might not even ask for your input at all. So if you have that control and you can be like, oh, I'm going to move this section here, we're going to do an outro, I'm going to get this person and this person on it, and that's going to be the song, and I'm going to put it out. It's like, it gives you more freedom just that way as far as how the song's going to go. So
yeah, and I think for producers, being able to say, hey, I have X amount of followers, I have X amount of listens, that's going to build you up way more than saying, hey, I've sold, you know, 100 beats, or I've had these placements. They don't really care. But if like, hey, this guy kind of has some fans following him, that's going to build you up more, and it's just going to help you grow more and more.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think it just adds another like leg to the arsenal, because like as a producer, I feel like I said, I feel like people just get locked into, oh, we got to be behind the scenes the whole time, we got to do this. It's like you can do that, but you should also kind of develop your brand as well, because that, like you said, it'll put yourself out there. So if artists stumble upon you, they can more easily kind of get, you know, the vibe of what you're all about anyway.
Absolutely.
See, like, what your sound is.
And listen, dude, it's hard to put yourself out there. I remember the first time I posted music, I was like, wow, I'm scared. And then the first time I put my face in a video, I was like, wow, this is like super scary. But you know, in this day and age, man, you just got to do it. Mm-hmm. Exactly. You got to understand that there's going to be people that, you know, like your best homies, you know, they're always going to support you. You're always going to have people that, you know, are listening to you and liking your stuff. But there's going to be people, no matter what you do, that just aren't going to vibe with it. And when I realized that those people don't matter, that's when I was able to put myself out there more. And I think producers coming back from behind the scenes, coming out in the forefront, like you said, is something you got to do in today's age, man. You just got to do it.
Yeah. So that kind of leads me into my next question. I know, like I said, I discovered you through your videos on Instagram, just through doing hashtags and stuff. And I see, you know, you do these like beat making videos, like how you made certain tracks and everything, and you kind of just break things down. So like, how did all of that come about, and kind of how have you been using social media to your advantage for your own like brand and everything?
Yeah, social media has been something I've just really tried to learn. And obviously, I don't have this massive following. I'm not some guru on this.
Mm.
But just being able to put out content is so important for guys like me and you doing this, in our bedrooms and just, grinding it out. I guess I don't know where I was like, hey, maybe I should start showing how I play out beats. I think a good thing to do is, I'm sure everyone here that makes, listening, that makes music, I'm sure you obviously, you follow people that make content, guys like El Dre. If you know El Dre, I'm sure you've heard his songs on TikTok. Chris Poncelon is someone I've become, kind of friends with. He makes a lot of content, and just kind of taking notes from them, what they do, and then putting your own spin on it has been big for me. So getting, some ideas from other people making content has been huge, and for me, it's just been, let's try to make this video. I mean, I post a lot. There's a lot of videos that I make that I watch. I'm like, hey, this is stupid. This is not, you're not posting this. So I would say just try every type of content you can try, whether it be an animation that you post on Instagram, whether it be just you tapping along to some beats, playing, to some drums, playing the keys, talking to the camera. I think you just got to try what works and go from there. But platforms like TikTok are crazy. There's people going viral on TikTok every second. Music producers too, and I think social media is how you make it these days.
Mm. It's interesting because I didn't really start kind of taking that whole side seriously until like a couple years ago, and I started like content creating and things like that, and I was like, this is kind of gonna suck because it doesn't have anything to do with music. But like when I started incorporating the music into the content that I was making, then it became just as fun to do as the music. So it was like now I'm at the point where the content creating is like part of it, and it's like you can bounce these ideas off of one another, and you can incorporate the music into it and show your fans and your followers what you got going on. So I would encourage anyone that, like, if you're on the fence about it, you kind of do have to do it. Like you said, it's kind of a requirement. It's not a requirement, but it is a requirement to kind of get your voice out there. Really just try and make it fun, like as much as you can. Even if it's not your thing, just figure out what you want to do, what your audience kind of wants to see, and just figure it out. It's going to be trial and error, just like anything else. Like, you're not going to be very good at first. You might feel uncomfortable on camera, but if you just keep doing it, repetition, you're going to get better and better, so.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah, very interesting stuff there. So, are you like primarily on Instagram, or are you more on TikTok? You'd say, because I'm not on. I have my TikTok, but I'm not on there that much. Like, I try and stay on it. So,
man, I used to be exclusively Instagram. I slept on TikTok for a while. I've noticed, again, this is part of the trial and error. I used to be getting, on my videos, hundreds of views on Instagram, stuff like that, and then. Recently, just this summer, I was like, okay, I'm posting every day. I'm doing this, that, and the other. I'm getting like 30 likes on Instagram. I'm like, this is odd. This just isn't working. So I'm trying to make my Instagram more pictures, more like an artist rather than a beat maker. And my TikTok, I'm trying to post a video every single day. Whether it's me, like I said, playing some drums, explaining how I made a video. I just made a Twitch channel, so cutting up streams for TikTok. I think TikTok is going to be more of the content stuff, and then posting those videos on, my story on Instagram instead of my feed. It's hard, and these algorithms change, and Instagram blows for creators. Instagram sucks. It's hard.
I would agree with that. I would second that.
Yeah, Instagram sucks.
Yeah.
The engagement's really bad. So, like you mentioned, that trial and error thing. It's just kind of seeing what works, what doesn't work. And what's working for me on Instagram is posting pictures and, a snippet or, a picture and then a video of me making something, then a random picture here. That's been helping me on Instagram a lot more, where TikTok is just volume for me. Just making videos, putting videos out there and seeing what works. The times that I've posted consistently every single day, I'll get 2-3 followers every single day on TikTok, and then sometimes you get 10. On something that works really well. I think TikTok right now is the way to go for producers. If I would say you should get on there for sure.
See, I have a profile set up that I just set up a couple months ago. I just haven't had the time to get it going, but I really want to start posting like I've been doing on Instagram, because I'm posting on Instagram every day. So like, why not just add TikTok in there and just see what happens?
Absolutely, you should. No, you 100% should.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll definitely look into it for sure. And I saw you were on Twitch the other night, like doing a live stream. I'm gonna have to tune into one of those because I feel
you
like
should, man. I'm gonna try to go live Tuesday, Wednesdays, and either Friday, Sunday, something like that. And that's just for me. I got a Twitch account not only because it's fun, not only because of connecting with your fans, but I'm thinking content.
Mm-hmm.
I make beats just for content sometimes. And, that's how big social media is, I think, in the industry and for me personally. But yeah, you should definitely tune in. You can, I did one stream and there were producers in there like saying, hey, try this, or hey, maybe put this effect, did you sidechain this? And I think that's so cool because you're almost collaborating, in live like that. So I thought that was super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely tune in, man. Next time you go live, I'll be in there because I got the Twitch app and everything, so that'd be dope. So as far as like, let's just say advice you'd give to, let's say producers. It could be music makers in general, but we'll say producers for the heck of it. What advice would you give to producers that were just starting out, kind of where you were 4 or 5 years ago? What would you say to them, kind of that maybe you struggled with, or something that you had to kind of get over? Like, what do you think would be
Absolutely.
a good piece of advice for them?
I have one piece of advice, and it's something it's really the only like rule I have when making music. When I first started, I always felt like I had to get to some lofty goal. I had to get some amount of listens, sales, whatever that big step that you're trying to make. You can't think about that. You can have that in your back of your mind. You say, hey, I want to hit an editorial playlist. I want to get this many streams. That's great. But for me, I try to do one thing, just one thing, every single day to make myself better. Whether that's I watched this video on YouTube and I think I learned a new skill, or I made a beat that I thought was super great, or, whatever that thing is. If you start thinking of like one step, one thing progress, then the stuff then you actually can get rolling. But if you shoot for, me with, a couple thousand followers everywhere, if I'm like, hey, I want to go viral on TikTok by July, that's probably not going to happen. But if I say, hey, let me just make the best beat I've ever made right now. Let me, do this sample chop that I feel like I've never done before. I think I just got better at sampling. That's progress for the day. Mm-hmm. And that's when you start seeing those actual goals come. So I think, like I said, do one thing every single day to make yourself better, and then you're having best progress.
Mm-hmm. I think the hardest thing is to like just be very present at all times, like be in the moment. Because if you're too focused on what you did yesterday, you're thinking about that. Now you're not worried about now. And if you're too worried about the future, now you're not worried about now either. You're worried about all this other stuff that's out of your control. So the best thing to do is like just focus on what you could do right now. Like you said, to be better just today. Like if you walk away at the end of the day and feel good about something you did, then that's winning. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's like,
and it doesn't have to be a crazy thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be some massive thing. Like I said, there's days that I make like 2 beats, and I'm like, hey, that I put that drum pattern down that I've never done before. That sounds really cool. I got better. Mm-hmm. I'm better than I was yesterday. Mm-hmm. Or I had this video, this beat on YouTube got more plays than everything else usually does. There's progress right there. And I think if you start looking at it like that, your mental health is going to be a lot better. And then you'll actually start seeing more physical goals happen because you're happier, and because you're going to, if you worry about those big goals, you're going to miss the little things that you actually do accomplish.
Yep. The little wins accumulate so much. Like
huge. They're huge, bro.
People don't realize that. I think like early on, you're just focused on what you see on social media and what you see all these other people doing. But it's like, you don't see everything else that they did, and you don't see all of the stuff that they had to do. So it's like you really have to put the work in and just figure it out every day, and then you're gonna see results. So
I was watching that Chris Punt salon that I was talking about. I think he had a stream with a couple hundred people in it, and I'm like, dang, that would be awesome. Mm-hmm. First stream, I had 15 people, and I'm like, hey, dude, that's 15 people that cared enough to take time out of their day to watch you make beats. That's crazy. For me, that was a ginormous win. And a lot of people would be like, oh man, I don't have, these numbers, man. You can't think like that, or you're just going to worry yourself to death. You just got to understand that this thing is not going to happen ASAP.
And you can't
have to play your music.
You can't compare yourself to other people either. It has to you just got to
can't.
realize that, like, you're at this stage of your journey. That's your journey. It's you and you alone. So you just have to keep going. I agree with everything you just said. That was great, by the way. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So what new songs or projects can we expect from you? Maybe this summer or fall, if you want to reveal anything. What can we be on the lookout for?
I'm trying to release music every 3 weeks, to a month. I'm going to try to put a single out, working on some project ideas, trying to, I talked a little bit earlier about how, like, Jaden Smith and Kanye, they create these worlds around things. Mm-hmm. And that's so interesting to me, how they do it visually and sonically. And I'm trying to really figure out how to do that before I put out a project next. I have some ideas. Hopefully they can all come to fruition here, and I can make it happen. But definitely songs every couple weeks here in the summer is my plan. I think, each one is better than the last one. So, yeah, I hope everyone tunes in and is along for the ride.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll definitely be one of those people checking out all the
releases.
Yeah,
I know you will,
so
bro.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that.
So if you could go back 10 years ago, maybe give yourself advice or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you would do?
I think I talked a little bit earlier about caring about the people that are going to hate. You just got to, those people don't matter. Mm-hmm. They do not matter. Whether, and that's not just music, that's life, dude. I'm still conscious of what other people think. I don't simply, I still care about some of those things. But I think when you start realizing that the people that are going to hate, they're going to hate regardless of what you do. There's people that are going to hate on anyone trying to chase music, hate on anyone trying to do, anything creative like that. Those people do not matter. The people that aren't, supporting you on Instagram, aren't supporting you, playing songs that you make, those people don't matter. Don't even worry about them. Worry about the people that are here supporting you, and I think you'll find that you're a lot happier.
So 10 years from now, where do you think you see yourself in your life and your career?
I always tell people that there's going to be one day that I make music, and that's it. It's not going to be today. It's not going to be tomorrow, but it's going to be one day. And I hope in that 10 years that one day happens. So, I can definitely see myself doing this for life. That's the only option for me. Whether, like I said, whether it's, 1 year, 2 years, 5, whatever it may be, one of these days it's going to be it. And hopefully at that point I can be more, I really enjoy talking and stuff like this, giving advice. A guy that I think really does that well is Kenny Beats on his streams, the videos he makes, stuff like that. Hopefully I can be one of those guys that maybe not just my music influences, but, something I say helps someone out. So in 10 years, I hope to be at that level where that stuff matters.
Absolutely. Any final words of wisdom today?
Words of wisdom, man. I think that bit of advice where you just do one thing every day, don't worry about huge goals, do one thing better, to make yourself better than you were yesterday. I think that is the biggest piece of wisdom that I have to offer. So that would be it. I would just really emphasize that. Just do one thing. You don't have to be great every single day, but if you do one thing to make yourself better, it's a good day.
Couldn't have said it better myself, man. Well, that's all I have for you today, Jake. Like I said, man, thank you for supporting this show, for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully we could do this again, maybe in person. Like I said, we're not that far away, so.
Absolutely, man.
Because I'll
Absolutely.
be doing.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll be doing sequels probably next year for like the guests and everything. So maybe we could get together and kind of do a catch-up episode or something.
I am there. You just got to let me know, and I'm there.
Thanks for listening today, everyone. That was episode number 55. We'll be back this time next week. As always, hit the support button on your podcast streaming platform if you'd like to send any funds, and we'll see you then. Thank you very much.